the Audi A6 Avant or Estate or Wagon or Combi. So in the front we have this huge single frame grille. We got the S-line on the exterior, but still with chrome contrast here, and that's the way I would also pick it. Then a Sepang blue color. That's what we call Thomas blue here, because this color here is my favorite one. 4 meters 94 or 16'2" is the length. It's the same for the A6 sedan and for the A6 Estate. And you see this rather simple design language here with the chrome roof rails stretched towards the rear end. If you compare it to the predecessor generation, it looks way flatter, although you don't lose too much headroom on the inside, I can already tell you so far. In the rear you can see that those taillights are pretty much similar for sedan and for the Estate. If you have the higher trim bills, you can also see you have the cascading turning indicators I'm using with the key here at the moment. A pretty spectacular effect always. But the question is, when I was driving behind some of the cars, I think at some point it's maybe also a little bit annoying. I have mixed feelings about that. Under the hood here today, a new engine, because on the petrol side there's usually the 3-liter TFSI with 340 horsepower, but here now the new 2-liter TFSI equipped for this engine with 245 horsepower. Essentially you could say it's, the engine is also fitted in the Golf GTI, but here of course you have a little bit more room, as this is here the MLB platform where you put the engines in a longitudinal way. And then there's also a 3-liter TDI in 2 horsepower specs, and a 2-liter TDI will also be available. Those are your choices so far. This is the car key, but you can also use the keyless entry function, as I said. And we also have the soft close right there. Magic. Of course, you have to pay it extra. Then we have the design selection line on the interior here today. And this, for example, here with matte wood. Really feels very natural, really cool. Then bright Alcantara. And what a great contrast in styling to the blue exterior. Galvanized buttons here, they have even a clicking sound. So let's get inside. Easy entry, but a standard, let's say, sedan seating position, although we have the Avant here, but those cars are really not different in the height. You can vary the height a little bit if you pick either, go from a base to the sport suspension, which is 20 millimeters lower than the adaptive suspension we have here today, or with the air suspension. There you can also change the height, but the base height then is usually the same. But who buys this car with the 20 millimeters lower sport suspension? I guess it won't have a big take rate. This is the interior overview, pretty spectacular as well. Especially this wooden area. You could say it's a little bit too much maybe, but I really like it. The thing I like a little bit less are those glossy black elements. I would like, to have them maybe in wood or aluminum style as well, so they collect fingerprints. But don't put your hands on there, please don't. This Quattro is also illuminated at night. There's also a special night riding episode with the A6 sedan we've done, if you're interested in night riding. Or Night Rider. Don't you like Night Rider? So, it starts here with this 8-inch screen on the top part. This one is the optional 10.1-inch screen, the MMI Navigation Plus. In the lower part, you always have this one, the 8.6-inch, because the climate function is controlled right there. Soon we'll also take this one here again in detail. And if you have the MMI Navigation Plus, then you switch from analog instruments over to fully digital instruments, which we have here. Soon also more details to that. The volume control is also here on the steering wheel. On the left side you can browse through the menu of the digital instruments or change the view. Soon more details again to that. And also on the steering wheel there's the voice control. I'm cold.
temperature should I set for you?
22 degrees.
I've already set the system to 22 degrees.
Ah, you see, she even realized that it was already at 22 degrees. So this is really good. You can not only, stumble around on the lower part because it can be distracting while driving. Use the voice function also for the navigation, for example. That will be good. Then the lower middle console, again, also I like this matte wood, so you can also hear how it feels. Maybe we should start a Autogefühl car SMR episode here. What do you think? Then the cup holders, adaptive, also with a 12-volt power supply, and then this automatic gear lever with the electric handbrake. And here the latest build of the virtual cockpit, which has the advantage that you can switch the views. For example, have a bigger map or so on. Can also zoom in and out with your left thumb then. Pretty amazing. And of course, here some, can put the radio features or the consumption. Went up now a little bit as we were driving around on the parking lot, but you can also get it a little bit lower, talking about it soon when we drive the car, of course. Well, of course you have enough legroom in the rear even for tall people, but considering the length of those vehicles, and that's a problem in the segment altogether, I have this legroom in the Honda Jazz. So the package, so what they use of the space they have on the exterior, put in the interior, is still kind of weird, but that's, also counting for all the competitors. What about the hatch? This is the important stuff here. You can open it here, you can open it with the key, or there's also this entry function available with the foot kick. Pretty cool when you have stuff in your hands. And there we are. Good opening, very high. I'm 1.86 or 6'1" if you remember. And then there's the closing button, we'll soon show you that. Here, the top cover raises automatically, that's really handy. The standard setup is 565 liters, and just to put a backpack in here, then you can see, the size. The width here is just a little bit over 1 meters, and that's really important. You can get stuff in and out very easily. Clear advantage over the sedan, and also over 30 liters more in capacity. And interestingly, we have here the 2-liter TFSI today, which is brand new basically. Wasn't available so far. In this case here, 245 horsepower. And the all-wheel drive is also the Quattro Ultra. That's basically for all of the Audi A6 except the 3-liter TDI, the strong horsepower version. 286 horsepower. We tested that one lately as well, which is still a real Quattro all-wheel drive with 40/60 basically, as a base setup. And this one here, those Quattro Ultra system, they are all front-wheel drive plus rear-wheel drive on demand. Well, as a driver, do you really feel that? That really depends on how you drive. In most cases, people will not really notice it. But of course, there's always a big fan group who says, I really want still the very classic all-wheel drive. The newer systems maybe have the advantage that they sometimes consume a little bit less fuel, since when you go slowly, just the front wheels are being used for the drive, and then when you apply some more power, also more is applied to the rear wheels. So I'm driving now 100 kilometers an hour already, and it's again so super silent, and the car is extremely stable on the road. And we already experienced that one with the sedan as well. It's such a great motorway vehicle. It's one of the best there is, just cruising a long way, have this very comfortable seating position, although we're not like in this upright SUV seating position, but for a normal car seating position, this is one of the best you have here with those seats here as well. So they really figured out how to build those very comfortable seats, no matter which material is used now. I'll let that aside now. Then very easy to accelerate also. I'm just a little bit on the throttle, but although we just have the 2-liter 4-cylinder here, I have a good and sovereign acceleration. So that was also the question initially, is it not sovereign enough if you have the smaller engine? I can say it's absolutely enough, absolutely fine. And we'll of course show you soon a little bit more acceleration, that you can also experience that. But to me it's also important that the engine is not only performing really hammered, but that it's also giving you, quite cool here with the planes, that's also giving you a sovereign, smooth and soft performance, that you don't have, to push all the RPMs until something is happening. So at the moment, there's unlimited speed, so we can go to the sport mode, that we don't have to shift that much, goes more. Let's go just from 100, let's see. That's 150 kilometers an hour. So that was 100 to 150 kilometers an hour. This is where the difference between the 3-liter engines and the 2-liter engines becomes apparent. If you start from standstill, from zero, the smaller ones will also do just fine. But here in the higher speed regions, which is again mainly a German thing, there you do feel a significant difference in acceleration, because then the bigger displacement engines have just more punch, more power. Still, this is quite decent still, but again, for big accelerations on the motorway, then it's a difference, or maybe when it's like full packed or something. So let's go back in lane. Considering this is not a small car, we still have a decent overview also to the rear, even a little bit better here now in the Avant or in the Estate. And would I, with closed eyes, realize if I'm driving the sedan or the Estate? Not really, no one could tell. It's basically the same vehicle, just with different rear ending. So I would always go with the Estate because it's just more practical, in every sense. And again, also the rear visibility is actually a little bit better. That's another advantage. Even if the tarmac gets a little bit rougher, it still remains very silent. It's just from the rain here. But when we're filming outside, it's not that pleasant to get the rain, of course. But when driving, it's sometimes also quite good to test the car in the rain. Also, when we have those very freshly built front windshields, so cool how clean everything gets done with the wipers. It's pretty amazing. And also when the raindrops are on this very fresh paint and they still peel off like with the Lotus effect, that's also pretty amazing. We have several assistance systems, of course, inbuilt in this vehicle. Overall about 38 different ones you can get. The base one, the emergency brake assist, that one is already built in every standard A6. An option you can get, for example, the adaptive cruise control. I set it here on the left side of the steering wheel with the separate column. Just press it and then distance to the car in front of me is being kept. You probably also have seen the blind spot monitor, which appears then here in the side mirrors. This is actually, to me, one of the most important features to get. Especially since the B-pillars on those vehicles nowadays are pretty much blocking the views, and so it's always good to have those. Here, by the way, quite wet now after some rain, but still giving you so much serenity and calmness in this vehicle. At the same time, it is actually sporty to drive, although it's not really a lightweight car, but you can drive it in a sporty way because it just handles so well on the road. Here when I'm a little bit faster now, even though it's a little bit slick now on the road, really cool.
Driving wise, it doesn't really matter if you have the Estate or the sedan version. This one here, of course, is more practical, sadly not available in the US, and probably most of the manufacturers say Estates won't sell in the US, but we also receive feedback that you think it's maybe different nowadays. I don't know. What do you think? Leave me your comments. Exterior, a very sharp design, of course, here in the Thomas blue, Sepang blue color today, really beautiful, also with those 21-inch alloys, of course quite expensive. The interior, so well done. As for the build quality, that's really amazing. As for the control concept, you can argue about that. There are surely some weaknesses, but also some advantages that come with that. Of course, a big issue that they don't offer animal skin alternatives in the higher trims. Just in the low trim sometimes, or in the US, you can quite often also get the leather rest, but not in all trim levels. So that's something they have to work on sustainability-wise. Other than that, really great what this interior is offering, especially then if you compare it with the trunk and the sedan. I would always go for this one, although I like sedans more visually. This one is just, when you put a bicycle in the rear or something, with a sedan, you have sometimes, when you put stuff in, just a little few centimeters that are missing, that's actually way more flexibility, especially when you flip the seats, for example. Very long loading area and also in height. So overall, for sure, one of the best cars in this segment, especially due to this very calm riding and also the 2-liter TFSI, which we drove the first time for this vehicle day. It's actually a Golf GTI engine, So it performed quite well, so I can also recommend this engine in the whole lineup. What do you think? Leave me your comments and also tune in next time.